All right, let's get back to the looming energy crisis. We discussed it in some detail last night with Graham Lloyd, you'll recall. 17 days now until our oldest power station shuts down and leaves New South Wales in energy limbo. Today, more calls, urgent calls, to keep Liddell open. When Liddell goes, if it does shut down, that's 10% of existing New South Wales baseload power that will go from the grid. The new New South Wales Energy Minister Penny Sharpe yesterday said, and to be fair, she inherited this mess from the Green Liberal Matt Keane, she warned that Liddell's closure will impact New South Wales energy supply. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, in 2 years' time, Eraring, which is near Port Macquarie, Liddell's near the Hunter Valley, Eraring will close. That's 25% of New South Wales power. So that's a third of the baseload in our country's most populated state gone in just 24 months. Now, one of those national voices saying Liddell must stay open is Federal National Party leader David Littleproud, and he joins me now. David, you're calling now for urgent intervention. I'll say to people at home, this is not a new call from the Nats. You've been saying this consistently ever since AGL slated Liddell for closure. What do you want to see happen?
Yeah, look, I think this is where the New South Wales government has an opportunity to intervene. AGL's made a commercial decision. You've got to respect that. They've got their own right to do that. But we've got to look at the practical reality of what's happening and the reckless pace that we're going down this renewable path. We're not against renewables. We're just saying the path that you are going down this route and the speed in which you're doing it is not understanding that you need this thing called firming. If you don't have firming power to support renewables, renewables won't work. And this has been exacerbated by the fact that the new federal government has demonised gas. They demonised gas for 10 years, didn't want to talk to gas companies. And in fact, we are drawing down on our gas supplies every day because they've taken away the confidence, the investment confidence in increasing gas supply. I've seen $1 billion investment in Senex in my own electric gone that would put 120 petajoules. That is over 10% of the East Coast gas market at the moment. So if you want renewables to work, you need to firm it either with the existing coal-fired, bringing on more gas, and even looking and peeking over the Pacific about long-term solutions of small-scale modular nuclear. We're saying let's have a sensible conversation, mature conversation about our energy mix. The great thing in this country is we have sovereign ownership of all our resources. We're not like Europe where we're worried about Vladimir cutting off a tap. We actually own our uranium, we own our coal, and we own our gas. But we've got to put the investment signals there for gas companies to do the right thing. When we're in government, we never had this problem. We always made sure that the gas companies are there to put more in, but we've got to make sure if that's not there, and the investment signals have changed by this new federal government, then those coal-fired power stations need to stay on until we get to a point that we have that firming. But we've also got to have a conversation about the social licence of some of these renewable projects. The amount of native bushland and prime agricultural land that will be taken up by solar panels and by wind turbines, we will hit a precipice where we need to have a conversation about food security in this country. I saw in Wagga Wagga the other day, just one project, 1,020 acres of solar panels going across cultivated area of canola plantation. That will take away a productive landscape. That will add to your cost of living pressures on your food. So let's be sensible about this. When I became leader, I wrote to Anthony Albanese and said, let's have a national energy summit. Let's put all our energy eggs on the table and work out what we put in the basket. And let's think about those new emerging technologies like small-scale modular nuclear, but knowing that we've got to increase our gas supply, make sure that we don't put policies on price caps and the safeguards mechanism that takes away that confidence, and making sure that we can give that firming energy to make sure that we have affordable, reliable power. If we don't do that, then we have more costly power that's less reliable. That's not common sense, and the Nats are just saying, let's bring some common sense to the conversation and to the national conversation.
I think it's all pretty galling, though, that this rapid transition plan in New South Wales to transition to basically no power. If you haven't got the renewables working, you have power failure or supply failure. It happened under a coalition government. I think that's particularly galling. I don't think you're going to have much success in relation to Liddell. I think it's important that you keep raising the issue, but surely now we can see what that cliff looks like, particularly with Eraring. We've got 2 years to come up with a plan to keep Eraring open. Of course, it's a much newer facility. It's a much cleaner facility in terms of coal-fired power. Are you having those conversations as well?
Yeah, look, the lessons need to be learnt from this, and this is where the ideology doesn't match the practical reality of what's coming out of people's wallets at the moment, and this is because of this reckless pace. So what we've got to do is make sure that we use common sense in not just having that conversation about Eraring staying open, but also making sure that we're increasing gas supply to supplement that firming energy through coal and gas. And got to understand that it'll be challenging for coal in the future, but gas is going to continue to come on, and there is an opportunity for that with carbon capture storage. But to actually complement your firming energy sources with SMR technology that actually looks at generation 4 of actually reprocessing waste, reduces emissions, gives us firming power. Why wouldn't you have those conversations now so that we plan? And in fact, the only reason we're not having a mature conversation of this, you only have to look at what's happening with submarines at the moment. It is blowing the Labor Party up because they can't agree on nuclear submarines, and they don't want to have a conversation about a civil nuclear industry here because they know that it'll be more about the political harm to their own party than about common sense and about opportunities for Australia to have cheap, reliable energy.
All right, SMRs for people at home, small modular reactors. That's what he mentioned there. I've got to pick up those acronyms when they come in from the politicians.
Sorry.
Just before we go, the announcement today on the Chinese trade sanctions likely to lift on barley and wine. Beijing said they'll have an expedited review of the sanctions. We haven't had a win yet. We've put on hold, obviously, the WTO decision, also the action. Give us your take.
Fantastic news, particularly for wine. They lost $1.2 billion overnight. Barley found other markets. We were able to go and find their markets overnight. Wine, we haven't been able to. This is a real game changer for the wine industry, but they deserve it. They were the ones that stood up to China with the last coalition government and told China we won't be bullied. So they deserve this, and we hope that this comes to fruition. It's a great thing for Australian agriculture, and we hope that the Chinese come through with it.
All right, just quickly, Julian Leeser resigned today. That means the position of Shadow Minister for Indigenous Affairs is there. I think there's a lot of support around Australia for Jacinta Price to take that job. Will she get it?
Look, Peter and I will have a conversation about that. Jacinta is a pure talent that we're so lucky to have. She's focused solely at the moment on getting that no case up, that we're behind her as the Nationals. We've been behind her for 6 months. We were the first ones to come out and make a principled position of lived experience of what the Nationals see and feel every day. We'll work through this and make sure that obviously through the coalition agreement where we sit, obviously it's a Liberal that's lost their position. So that obviously adds a layer complexity, but I'll be talking with Peter Dutton and we'll have a mature conversation about that.
Well, I hope you win out. I will make the point. Julian had two roles there, Attorney General and the Indigenous Minister's brief. Of course, if you split the roles, the Libs can still have the Attorney General's position, so they haven't lost a position, and we can get someone who was a bit of a warrior in that Indigenous Affairs job, but I'm sure you've already thought about that. David Littleproud, thank you.